You found me. In the comfort of my own home, snuggled in my warm robe, you found me. You found me with my cup of tea, also, because this is Sippin' Trip. This is by Stillwater. I got this tea when I was in Denver, so it's an infused tea, if you know what I mean. It's a mint tea, it's caffeine free. It mellows you out, makes you relax, makes you so comfortable that you can sit in a room by yourself and talk to an iPhone. I did a survey on social media and found that 70% of the people I know have passports, whereas the other 30% don't. People think it's an intimidating process, which it can be intimidating. But if you know what exactly you're doing and a little bit about the process, maybe it might not be so bad after all. The first thing you have to understand when getting your passport is that you're dealing with the feds. That's right, the feds are watching. This means your social security number and any other identifying information will be needed to fill out the application. If you owe the federal government any money, okay, like child support or taxes, you must pay these debts back before you get your passport. Because we need to be able to get a passport and leave when we're ready to leave, right? Okay. Felony drug convictions and even some misdemeanor drug convictions can keep you from getting a passport. This also means if you are on parole or probation, they can also reserve the right not to issue you a passport. Additionally, if you are deemed a threat to national security, like my 5-year-old son, you may not be issued a passport. You know, my son is quite a terror. So the number one thing people want to know is how much these little blue books cost. $145 if you're an adult, $115 if you're a child. There is another alternative. You're going on a cruise to the Caribbean somewhere, or if you're traveling up north to Canada or down south to Mexico, you can use a passport card. So $65 for a card for an adult, and $50 for a card for a child. Simply put, the passport card is not for international air. Okay? Okay. We love stamps. We love stamps. That's why we get the book. To pay for it, the post office accepts personal, certified, and traveler's checks. They also accept major credit cards. We can't forget that cashier's checks and money orders are also other good forms of payment. You will make payable to the Department of State. You will need an application. And you get the applications from your local post office. But you have to do your research because not every post office offers the passport service. But this is what the application looks like. So they want to be all up in your business. Look at all of this information that you have to fill out. Like, this is, you know, a pretty extensive deal you got to fill out, right? Right. You will need your birth certificate to show that you were born in the United States. And if you were born outside of the U.S., you have to submit your previous passport or certificate of citizenship for that country. You'll also need a driver's license or some type of state or federal issued ID. And it must be current. No temporaries are allowed. You need a color photo with this application as well. A 2x2 color photo. So it's a very, very small, like, little square. I went to Walgreens. Some post offices offer the photos on site. So you can get the photo taken and then turn it in with your application, which is super convenient. So passports, if you're 16 and over, are valid for 10 years. And if you are under 16, they're valid for 5 years. This means after that time, they must be renewed. But the good news is you can renew it by mail. If you have a passport, maybe it's been 10 years and, you know, you need to get it renewed or whatever the case is. Maybe you've been married and need to change your name. There are several reasons as to why you would renew. But if that's the case for you, this, my friends, is the application you need. The blue one, the pretty little blue one. And if you've been married, you'll need to provide, what does it say here? Your marriage certificate if your name has changed. And of course fees, and like I said, the color photo with the renewal. To renew, what you'll need to do is you'll need to send in your old passport with your application along with a color photo to update your passport. Now, don't worry, you're supposed to get this back. So sleepy. Getting a passport for a child is a little different because both parents have to be present, and so does the child. Now, there are ways around this. Ways around both parents being there. The child, of course, must be there. But if one parent can't be there, that parent can write a letter with a photocopy of the front and the back of their ID, giving permission for a passport to be issued for their child. If there is a sole custody agreement by the court, if that is presented, you would then be able to get a passport with just a single parent there. Also, evidence of the child's citizenship, like a birth certificate, would have to be there in order to get the passport. And what this does is it shows the child's relationship to you. So the parent's name somewhere on the birth certificate or whatever document you provide must be there. And the IDs for both of the parents. Both parents will need ID. The good news is if you are military personnel or can show that you work for the federal government, you may have cheaper fees or no fees at all. You can pay for your passport to get to you sooner. It's an additional charge. I think maybe around $60 or so, but don't quote me on that. Typically, you wait 4 to 6 weeks for your passport to get back to you after you apply. But if you need it expedited, say you have an upcoming trip that's within 2 to 3 weeks out, they may ask you to present a ticket or something like that. To expedite them, you would go to your local Department of State office in wherever you live, and they would be able to go ahead and process the fees for expediting your passport. Spring break through maybe July is when it's extremely busy. So the earlier you can get your passport, of course, the better. What I just went over is just pretty much general rules just to give you an idea of what to expect. But of course, it's up to you to find your local post office that offers the passport service. If you have any further questions from me, I ain't got nothing else to do, so you might as well drop them below. Thank you so much for watching Sip and Trip. I don't have any more tea. This is just the prop at this point. This is how I really feel after shooting a video about passports. Just take it off.